This year, I set myself a goal to get a game on Steam. And let me tell you, this is gonna be hard.
You stupid.
I came into this devlog week feeling fresh and invigorated to work on the task system that would allow users to work on mini objectives throughout their management journey. 2 weeks later, and I've all the mechanics implemented, and it feels like trash. And I don't know if I've approached the system the right way at all. The system works, I can create new tasks that the player can perform, but it doesn't feel in any way scalable. Every time I want to create a new task, it feels like I've got to put a workaround in place to make it happen. But I got tired of working on it and need to move on to something else, or I risk deleting the entire game out of frustration. So we'll revisit this again later. The next thing I wanted to do was upgrade my project from the standard rendering pipeline that Unity uses by default to the universal rendering pipeline. Why? I have no idea if I'm being honest, but every tutorial I saw online mentioned the benefits of URP over the built-in render pipeline, so I decided to use it. I wish I took this into account when I first started the project, because I could have just created the project with URP from the get-go. Instead, when I tried to upgrade my current project, this happened, and temporarily had me considering my life choices. But a quick Google search led me to believe that this was a simple fix. I just need to convert my materials, and then boom. Okay, same problem. Let me tell you, I spent an entire evening trying to figure a solution to this, until I finally caved and bent to the will that is ChatGPT. I mentioned that I was using the Tunicolors Pro asset, and that I converted my project to URP, but everything was still pink. And to its credit, it did provide me with this little tidbit about re-importing the asset, which fixed all my problems. So now if only I could apply this to my real life. After this, I then thought it would be a good idea to remind myself on how little I know about lighting in Unity. Honestly, I knew lighting was a big topic, but I was trying to figure out a stylized look for my game, and thought playing around and baking lights was the way to go, and boy was I wrong. What proceeded was me playing around with tons of different lighting settings, watching countless videos on lighting scenes in Unity, applying post-processing effects to adjust the colour and tone of the scene. I spent 2 days working on this, and I gotta say, it was not one bit worth it, because my scene looks even worse now, and I am none the wiser on how any of these light settings actually work. I mean, look at this scene. What on earth is even happening here? It feels like that one scene in Resi 4 where Leon needs to jump over lasers.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
But I did learn a lot about how to use post-processing in the scene, so that's something. I feel like this will be another topic I'll be revisiting later. When I worked as manager, my day was often interrupted by various ridiculous emails. You might get a request like, oh, this product that we have hasn't sold all year. Well, can you try push this product and sell 5 by the end of the business week? But I knew when I was implementing the task system that I wanted to take this concept and emulate the ridiculous email requests I used to get. So the player will need to keep an eye on emails throughout the day and try to fulfill as many of these requests as possible, which will eventually have a reward mechanic attached to it, so there's some incentive for the player to complete them, or maybe it'll even have a penalty depending on the nature of the task. But when the task is initialized, it's added to a dictionary of active tasks. This allows each task to be linked to a corresponding UI element, which displays the task's email body. And by maintaining these references, each new task automatically generates and stays connected to its own UI entry. Make sense? If not, I don't blame you, because I'm not sure I fully understand the system myself either. But I then moved on and explored some ideas about what I was going to do with constructing the store layout. I had originally thought about having fixed locations for the layout of everything in the rooms, and then you'd have to unlock it with the money you generate in the store. But I quickly realised that it would be much more beneficial to the player to let them customise the layout themselves, so that there's a unique stamp on the run, hopefully preventing each run from feeling the same. And with this, I began working on the UI mechanics. I'd already implemented the UI for the email system, so it was just a matter of expanding on this and adding more functionality for placing items in the store. I started small, and I currently just have a button that adds a shelf to the store. And when the player decides to buy this shelf, a raycast is sent out and shows a preview of the object that the player is buying. This will check for collisions and only allow the player to place an object if there's nothing in its spot. I then wanted to work on something other than programming at this point and decided to change the color atlas I was using. I just randomly cobbled it together at the very beginning of the project, but decided to spend some time learning the best way to optimize my atlas so that I could get the most out of it. I came across this great video by Jens, who had a handy method of creating a gradient using part of the color grid, which allows for much more natural blending of an object. I haven't fully utilized this atlas on my models yet, but I've applied it to a material and placed it on most objects in the scene. All I need to do now is update the UVs in Blender to style the assets how I want, and we should be good to go. And that was more or less everything I got working in the last 2 weeks. I know there's not too much more gameplay to show off, and I'm starting to think that the devlogs are a bit of a double-edged sword. I'd mentioned in my last video that I don't really want to release a video just for the sake of it, but as I was editing this video together, it did feel like that's what I was doing. So I changed the editing style a little bit to try and keep it a bit more engaging. I'm still not really sure what the best approach is yet. I want to keep the channel active without releasing devlogs that don't appear that interesting. So I'm definitely interested in hearing what your thoughts are. So let me know down in the comments. Maybe 2 weeks is too soon to release a devlog. Maybe a month would be a better time frame, but I'd like to know in the comments either way. So let me know. But it's great being back in the game dev realm. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'll continue to work on these devlogs and work on the game, you know, whether the videos do well or not. But if you've made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching so far, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.